Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Screenwriters in the United States say they have reached a tentative deal with studio bosses that could see them end a strike that has lasted nearly 5 months. The Writers Guild of America said it was exceptional with meaningful gains and protections for writers. WGA members must still have a final say. Hollywood writers are striking in a row over pay and the use of artificial intelligence in the industry. Stranger Things and The Last of Us are among the shows which have been paused. It is the longest strike to affect Hollywood in decades and has halted most film and TV production.
It's been around 150 days of striking thus far since May. The mood, as soon as the tentative deal was announced, was one of ecstasy. I heard that at certain film festivals there were cheers going on. Also on social media we saw a vast flurry of tweets. I think a lot of people have suffered because of the strike. A lot of people have been out of work, and news that we might get the engine moving again is just life-saving for so many people.
The Italian Mafia boss Matteo Messina Denaro, who was one of the country's most wanted men until his capture earlier this year, has died. The 61-year-old was thought to be a boss of the notorious Cosa Nostra Mafia and spent 30 years on the run before he was detained in January. He was being treated for cancer at the time of his arrest and was moved from prison to hospital last month. Denaro was thought to have been responsible for numerous murders. He was tried and sentenced to life in jail in absentia in 2002 for crimes including involvement in the 1992 killing of anti-mafia prosecutors. A growing stream of ethnic Armenian refugees are fleeing NagornoKarabakh following Azerbaijan's seizure of the disputed region last week. More than 3,000 people have so far crossed into Armenia from the enclave, which is home to a majority of some 120,000 ethnic Armenians. They left after the government in Yerevan announced plans to move those made homeless by the fighting. It also warned that those who stayed could face ethnic cleansing. The Odessa prosecutor's office has released photographs and videos showing damage inflicted to seaport buildings, including a former hotel following an overnight Russian airstrike. The Odessa regional governor said some grain storage facilities were also hit. No deaths were reported in the attack. The Russian strike was the latest in a series of missile and drone strikes which Kyiv says are intended to prevent Ukraine, a major grain producer and exporter, shipping its agricultural products to the world. Dusty samples from what's been described as the most dangerous known rock in the solar system have been brought back to Earth. The American space agency NASA landed the materials in a capsule that came down in the west desert of Utah State. The samples had been scooped up from the surface of asteroid Bennu in 2020 by the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. NASA wants to learn more about the mountainous object, as samples are likely to provide fresh insights into the formation of the solar system 4.6 billion years ago, and possibly even how life got started on our planet.
So I'm going to be looking for the basics. Are there clay minerals there? Are there carbonate minerals? Are there organic molecules? Do we see the iron oxides, the other things that we predicted on the asteroid surface? It really is to give us a sense of what are we dealing with? Are we way out of the box in terms of what we built this big plan around? Or does it look like, yeah, we got it pretty close, there's some surprises, but we can still continue with the sample analysis plan that we laid out?
Guests at a Canadian amusement park have been released after they were stuck upside down on a ride for nearly 30 minutes. Those on the ride could be heard shouting, "Get us down." Maintenance staff did finally bring the ride down just after 11 p.m. after it inverted at 10:40 p.m. 2 of those stuck reported chest pain and loss of feeling in their legs. And Chile's National Geology and Mining Service has raised the alert level for the Villarrica volcano from yellow to amber, citing a gradual increase in volcanic activity. One of South America's most active volcanoes, Villarrica has a 200-meter wide open crater and last erupted in 2015, sparking a mass evacuation but ultimately no injuries. An amber alert means there is greater probability that an eruption will take place in the coming days or weeks. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.